friends, good to see you again. So let's talk about people with the Sun conjunct to Uranus in the natal chart today. So the Sun and Uranus in a conjunction are very interesting because the natural relationship between the two of them, the natural angle, is an opposition. And with the conjunction, we have the two things fused rather than in a check and a balance to each other, or something that brings self-awareness. Awareness is harder to come by with conjunctions because there really isn't the mechanism built in to see something starkly or clearly or outside of ourselves and then have that aha moment. So with hard aspects, we have more of a opportunity for insight. But with conjunctions, and it depends on what the conjunction is. Conjunctions are like a fusion of characteristics that act in tandem. So with the conjunction of the Sun and Uranus, we have individuality and the right to be oneself, it's the Sun and Uranus, and self-expression with liberation and freedom of self-expression, Sun and Uranus. These two things are in a mix. So it's a more uncompromising personality. Now we can have other things going on in the birth chart, and we will have other things going on in the birth chart. People are multi-layered, and astrology accounts for that. This is one part of the personality. This is one pocket of who someone is. But we're going to have other things going on at the same time. So somebody can display what I'm describing, very, very purely, and other people will have some mitigating things going on. So if we say have the Sun in an earth sign or a fire sign, then we can see more of the uncompromising selfish characteristics that we tend to see with the Sun in aspect to Uranus, especially in a conjunction. With the conjunction, people do tend to feel that they already know, that they know everything. It's more of a know-it-all kind of a deal in the personality. It's not a terribly teachable personality. Now, if they decide that they do want to be taught, then that's a different story because they've decided. And they don't take direction very well. But if something is their idea, or if they think it's their idea, then they'll definitely, be on board with that. So often people with the Sun conjunct to Uranus grew up very quickly. There was a need for emancipation or for liberation, and they usually leave home very, very early. And the father was often in a Uranian kind of profession, so something very technical. It could even be something that was like sales, but sales of something technical or scientific. Engineers, scientists. The father did often have some selfish or narcissistic traits himself. And the person who has this conjunction can, complain about that, but have that same kind of thread that's built into the personality as a result of the exposure to that particular parent. So the Sun conjunct to Uranus makes for a very self-directed personality. They don't typically work cooperatively, and they don't really work well in authority positions. They are best working on their own, where they can direct their own time, choose their own schedule. There's some amount of autonomy in the work. Technical professions, odd jobs, science, engineering careers, those are all very much suited to somebody who has this conjunction, because there's a lot of innovation. There's a lot of entrepreneurial types of energies going on there. So there can be a hunger for doing something different, or discovery, or not having a routine. People will often make a schedule, or have an idea of what they're going to do that day, but it's very much more spontaneous, and often their more selfish needs or self-centered behaviors can be what diverts the plan. So you can be waiting on people with the Sun conjunct to Uranus quite a lot, and they won't even realize that they need to explain themselves. So oftentimes you'll need to consciously bring self-awareness to someone who has a conjunction like this. You'll have to speak up and, make your needs known or complain, because there's not an automatic realization that they've put themselves first, especially when it comes to keeping schedules or doing what they had previously said they were going to do. So that could be a very frustrating thing that the people around them tend to deal with, especially people that they work with, family members. That can be a rough one. So learning to compromise can be very helpful for people who have this conjunction. It can be very helpful as well for the people who live with them, the people who work with them, because there is a ability to change with the Sun conjunct to Uranus. There is ability to have some kind of epiphany where they can see the light and decide to make some adjustments or even some radical changes in their personality. That possibility does exist, but a lot of it is going to depend on what kind of feedback are they getting. Oftentimes that feedback needs to be very clear, and it can often also need to be very forceful. Ultimatums actually do help to bring insight or self-awareness to people who have this conjunction. Oftentimes they will come to points in their life where people around them are issuing ultimatums, and they'll have to decide if they are going to compromise, change, take direction, or if they're going to go their own way. And oftentimes they will go their own way, especially when it comes to career. So there can be changes of life direction. And often that's in response to feeling pressured to compromise or change, and they didn't make that choice and had to start over again. So there can be shakeups that happen, and oftentimes it's going to be the result of assumption of authority, or not being willing to compromise, or to really look at what is going on with another person. So the ability to put themselves in someone's place is a bit challenged with this conjunction. They tend to see the world and others' experience through the lens of their own self or their own experience. So awareness of how others are doing or what may be going on with others, that could be very helpful to achieve in life, because that can really make relationships much more satisfying. It's easier to fulfill the needs of the people around us when we're aware of what those needs might be. So there's some growth that is often needed in the area of empathy, or being able to see other people's side of the story. So the right to be oneself is very much enforced and very much in the forefront of the personality when we have this conjunction. People who have this conjunction don't have a wide or immediate circle of associates. They can even be a bit more socially awkward, or have some schizoid type of traits in the personality. So it's very, very wise for them to choose a mate that has some grounded or practical threads in their personality that can help bring the mad scientist in them a little bit more down to earth, and, you know, be a tether to something more concrete. So there's something self-directed and also unstable about the personality when we have the Sun conjunct Uranus, and unstable in the sense that it's changeable, very much depending on their will, not so much on outside circumstances or other people's needs or conditions. It's very much in accordance to what they want more in that moment. So learning how to adhere to schedules or keep plans, you know, even though our whim or our will might change, that could be very, very helpful to be able to finish projects, achieve goals, just the appearance of being more stable in relationships. So there's a bit of a loner or an eccentric in somebody who has this conjunction. But again, a lot of creativity, a lot of inventive ability as well. And the nature of invention is that not all of them are going to be useful. But that's what lends us to occasionally come up with something that really is completely creative and that really serves a need, or brings us to a new sort of creative expression or ability. So there's a lot of inventiveness and originality that will come out of this conjunction. So I hope that was helpful and that you enjoyed that. If you did, please subscribe to my channel, and I will be back super soon with more super cool videos. You can find me on the internet at truthandaspectastrology.com, other social media at Truth and Aspect Astrology, and look for my upcoming classes that I will be offering. I will be advertising the 101 class coming up here very soon, and also the intermediate and the advanced classes as well as all other types of classes. So check my website for that, because I'll have a schedule coming up here that you can check out, and I'll be back super soon. Bye-bye.